Well, welcome to Texas Rye Whiskey Studies for the National Rye Tournament, episode number 21 for tournament match number 9. Coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas, where it is currently 99 degrees on Sunday, July 19th, 2026. What I'm doing with this tournament is sampling and reviewing rye whiskeys one at a time, and then after every second whiskey, I place them in a head-to-head match to see which one I like the best. So far, I have studied 12 whiskeys in the under 90 proof bracket, and we are in the second round of the competition, which means it's the top 6 whiskeys. This will be the third match. The winners of the first 2 matches are Jim Beam and 3 Rangers. Today's contestants are Corsair, Dark Rye, and Lot 40, Canadian Rye. Nashville versus Canada. I judge these whiskeys on their history, their bottle, label, marketing, composition, appearance, nose, taste, mouthfeel, burn, and finish. But the deciding factor is, if I was offered these 2 whiskeys 5 nights in a row, but I could only choose one, which one would I choose at least 3 nights out of the 5? So it's all about drinkability. In case of a tie, the price, value, and availability of the whiskeys will determine the winner. That has happened a few times. Just for fun, I drink these out of blacked out glasses so I can be totally fair without looking at these whiskeys, because frequently there's a visual aspect that sets one apart from the other. And so I don't want to know which one I'm drinking. Plus, just for fun, I try to guess which is which. So I not only choose which one I like the best, but I try to guess which is in which class. My batting average there is just about 50%, maybe a little bit better. So let's start with these whiskeys, and we begin with the category of history. Now, I go through all the details on the individual reviews, but so right now I'm just kind of weighing which one I think has the most legitimate or interesting history. So neither of these is a real established older brand. The Lot 40 is older, but has kind of a broken up past of going in and out of production, different owners. Corsair is owned by a couple of lifelong friends, and while being newer, they seem to have stayed the course. I mean, they've been around since 2010, and they made it through the COVID years and then the following bourbon bust. So they are known for innovation and experimentation. This is a great American entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm going to give history to Corsair. Bottle, label, and marketing. Now, I'm not really a big fan of either bottle very much, but both do a great job with their labels. Lot 40 has got their distillery plan complete with a table of contents there, and there's kind of a map and diagram of their distilling process, and that's just really pretty cool. And then with the slanted label there, that's kind of the Johnny Walker theme going on there. So that's really, they do a good job with their label, their bottle there. Corsair, on the other hand, it's called Dark Rye, and look at that label. That is dark. Look at the whiskey. The whiskey's dark. You got 3 mysterious figures going on there, and it's labeled Dark Rye and Corsair. So there's a little bit of deliberate darkness and mystery going on with the bottle and the label. So to me, one of the deciding factors is here on the Corsair, they give a whole lot more information about their whiskey, including the mash bill. They're right there on the label. So I think the dark label matching the very dark whiskey, I'm going to give Corsair the win for bottle and label. Marketing, neither one of these has really done much in the marketing realm, although both, when they became kind of a splash about 10 years ago or so, I saw both discussed in the whiskey community online. So really not much of marketing on either front there. But yeah, Corsair for the win, bottle, label, and marketing. Appearance of these whiskeys. Again, you can look at the Lot 40, and it's kind of a medium grade whiskey. But that Corsair, Yeah, now it's reflecting some of the black label, and that's a thing. And I'm wearing black today, but if you saw these in the glass, you would see a noticeable difference. The Corsair is very dark. It's like dark tea or even coffee, while the Lot 40 medium bronze or copper. And I tend to prefer darker whiskeys, while my wife prefers the lighter whiskeys. So it really is a personal, subjective preference. But I'm going to give Corsair the win for physical appearance. Composition. Lot 40 uses 100% unmalted rye from Hiram Walker Distillery in Windsor, Ontario. This comes in at 43 ABV for 86 proof. They use a locally grown rye, and it is distilled in a copper pot. But one source I read says it's distilled in a column still first, and then the second distilling is the pot still, and then it's aged in virgin white oak barrels. There's no age statement, and by law, Canadian whiskey's got to be 3 years old. Now they claim that the recipe has been around for 7 generations, passed down in the family. And it is a true small batch, they claim. And that's borne out with the marketing. I mean, I've only been able to get this at one store here in Fort Worth, so it's not widely marketed. Now, the Corsair, on the other hand, their composition, they put it right down here on the bottle. I mean, they give you some of the details: malted rye and chocolate rye. 42.5% ABV or 85 proof. So it does have a little proof disadvantage compared to the Lot 40. Small batch, proudly crafted in Nashville. But they also include proudly mashed, distilled, and bottled in Nashville. Batch. It's got batch number, bottle number, aged. Well, that's really faded. I think I got this down here though. Aged for 8 months. This dark whiskey's aged for 8 months. Batch number 13, bottle number 68 of 311. So again, the Corsair information is just right out there. So I think really the Lot 40, I had to kind of dig for some information. Whereas the Corsair, it's right there on your face. So Corsair for the win for clarity in their composition. Now, flexibility, versatility. Both of these whiskeys are great. Neat. I love them both. These represent the opposite ends of the rye spectrum. All right. This dark rye is one thing, and this 100% Canadian rye is another thing. Right field and left field. Absolutely. Both of these are great. Neat. Maybe okay under ice, even though they're, a little bit under proof. But both made killer old fashions when I used these in an old fashioned. So I'm going to say for flexibility, versatility, we have a tie there. Now, price, value, and availability. The Corsair, I paid $20 for a couple of years ago in a smaller store that I don't frequent very often. So I think that was kind of a clearance price. It's no longer available anywhere that I can find in Fort Worth. The Lot 40 is $35, but only at one store, Goody Goody, here in Fort Worth. Now, I've checked the Corsair website, and they are still in business, and I can order the dark rye for $45 plus about $25 for shipping and taxes and whatnot. So I'm going to side with Lot 40 for price, value, and availability, which means if there's a tie on the actual tasting process, then Lot 40 would get the win because it's available to me and it's cheaper. Okay, let's get to the actual whiskeys. Now, like I said, I have mixed these up in the blacked out glasses. The Corsair is in glass number 1, which is on the bottom of the glass, and Lot 40 is glass number 2. I won't be able to see those numbers, but when I drink it, you will be able to see that. I begin left to right with just nosing. That's got a pleasant nose. A little bit of rye spice. Mild sweetness. So yeah, that's a very nice rye kind of a nose. On the right. A little bit less of a nose. Not as much rye spice. A little bit darker notes. So if I was guessing just off the nose, this is glass number 1, the Corsair. And the one on my left was lot 40, glass number 2. That's just guessing off the nose. All right. So I'm going to say the one on the left wins that nose. It had the more pronounced nose, and it was definitely enjoyable. So let's go now to the drinking, and since left won the nose, I'm going to start drinking the one on the right. And that is a lovely whiskey. Little hints of rye spice, but there's really more dark fruit, wood, leather, tobacco. There's some sweetness there. That's chocolate. There's chocolate there. I don't have any doubt about that's the Corsair. Glass number 1. Yeah. I mean, that's like a dessert. That's like eating a piece of chocolate with a liqueur center is what that is. All right. There's, for mouthfeel, burn, and finish, decent mouthfeel. Not much burn. Mouth tingles. Nothing burning going down or up. Flavors do linger for a little bit. I'm going to say a medium finish. So a pleasant mouthfeel. No real burn. Medium finish. Those chocolate notes linger for a while. All right. Let's go to the one on the left. Yeah, now that's straight up rye. A little bit of syrup flavor going on there. There's a sweetness there. But I'm getting definitely more of the rye spice. Perhaps a tad bit more of a burn. Mouthfeel is decent. The rye spice lingers a bit. Hmm. This really is apples and oranges. I mean, you've got two completely different whiskeys going on here. And that's going to make this very challenging because I like both. But is there one I would prefer 3 out of the 5 nights? Back to the one on the right. I ran into this same problem a couple of years ago. when I was doing a Texas rye whiskey tournament. There's two types of rye whiskeys, broadly speaking. One type in Texas has got the Texas Funk, which is very similar to what I'm getting out of the Corsair. The other side is leans into the rye, like I'm getting out of the Lot 40. And what I realized in the midst of that tournament is my natural flavor profile lent itself to those darker Texas Funk style ryes. And that's what I'm experiencing here. Well, what I ended up having to do with the Texas rye whiskey tournament is I had to do it twice, and I had to separate the two whiskeys, two types of whiskeys, so that the ones that were more rye forward, I judged those against each other, and then the darker ones, I judged those against each other. And then at the end, the champions met, and the darker rye whiskey won. That was a Tawakero rye out of Palestine, Texas. And I think the same thing's happening here. I'm not going to do two different tournaments, but the Corsair, I think I would choose 3 nights out of 5. The chocolate notes here are for real. This is almost a dessert whiskey. And so the Lot 40 is outstanding. It's that type of rye. If you want a heavy rye flavor, I'm going to say go for the Lot 40. If you prefer a chocolatey type flavor, go for the Corsair. So I'm going to head towards the chocolate and the Corsair as the winner. But I'm telling you that both of these were fine. So, so this is a very difficult choice. But okay, well, I didn't even look underneath here to make sure I was right. Okay, the one on the glass on the right, I think is glass number 1. And I am correct. Okay, so here I was assuming I was right. And then glass number 2, the Lot 40 is on the left. So I did guess correctly. And so there we have a winner. Now, the winner sometimes gets a cocktail. So let me go make a cocktail with the Corsair. Last time I made an old-fashioned. Let me see if I come back with an old-fashioned or if I do something like a Manhattan. I'll be back. And I'm back. I did not do an old-fashioned this time, although the Corsair makes a beautiful, magnificent old-fashioned. I went with a Manhattan. I did a perfect Manhattan. Now, what a perfect Manhattan is you get a 1/2 ounce of dry vermouth and a 1/2 ounce of sweet vermouth, 2 ounces of the whiskey, and a couple of dashes of bitters with 1 cherry in there at the bottom. I did put 1 small ice cube in there because my glass really wasn't cold enough. So we'll see. I'm not much of a Manhattan fan. I've learned how to make them according to my likings. Let's see if this one works. Oh yeah, there you go. What I have learned with Manhattans is that a dark rye, such as this, works very well with a Manhattan. So, and a perfect Manhattan suits me better. This regular straight Manhattan uses only sweet vermouth, and sweet vermouth and I somehow don't work together well. Okay, but you add the dry vermouth in there to make it a perfect Manhattan, and that tends to work for me. Now, my wife is over there sipping a margarita that I made for her. Normally, I try to share my creations with her, but I guess we'll pass this time because she's in the middle of a margarita. But the Manhattan, the perfect Manhattan, absolutely works with the Corsair. So that's a great winner with a great cocktail. if I only could find this locally, because for me to buy this, I mean, it's going to push the price up to about $70. Now, this is probably worth it, but still, it's a hassle to order stuff online. All right, what's up next in this rye whiskey tournament? We're going to do a review of Powers Irish Rye. This is the whiskey that I forgot about on my shelf because in my head, I was telling myself this was a 90 proof whiskey. If I had checked my notes, I would have found that no, this is actually like 86.4 proof or something like that. And so it belongs in the tournament. Yeah, 86.4. And so I'm not going to just leave this alone. I'm going to come back and do this one. Another whiskey that I have that's on order, will be here next week, is 10th Mountain Rye. I've had that previously, and I've actually done a review of that previously, but I ran out of it. Finished the bottle, my son and I. And so I didn't have that available for this tournament. Well, so now to match this one, I had to order that one again, and it's a beautiful rye. It is. 10th Mountain does a great job of everything. So that'll be here next week. So I'll do 2 reviews and then a head-to-head competition between these 2. And then the winner will jump into the second round of the tournament. All right, that does it for Stab the Dragon Productions and Texas Rye Whiskey Studies with a Perfect Manhattan. Out here.